I cannot believe we got her on the program. She's amazing, a very real doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ayana Elizabeth Johnson! Thank you so much. Give it up. Oh my God. You hear this, the walkout song? Oh, this is the hook. Wait. Dang it, we're into the lyrics already. There you go. Anyway, she blinded me with science. I thought it was fitting. That was kind of nice. I get it.
I appreciate the gesture.
Okay. Let's get into this. Thank you so much for joining us here. Can you just go ahead and give me a quick rundown just to fill everyone in on sort of your career and what got you interested in climate science in the first place?
It kind of involves just a beautiful little sea creature is my story. So I went to the Florida Keys when I was 5, and I held a sea urchin in my hand, and I felt it's like hundreds of tube feet. I'm not a comedian. You guys have got that, right? Like this is the whole.
Well, you're getting more laughs than me, though. Cool it, Ayana.
But I held this sea urchin in my hand, and I just was blown away by the fact there's just like a whole other universe under the surface, and I wanted to know everything about it. So I was like the stubborn 5-year-old that actually followed their dreams and now I'm a marine biologist.
You did it. I wanted to be, give it up for that. That's amazing.
It gets really awkward in bars and people are like, oh my God, I also wanted to be a marine biologist. And you're like, should have followed your dreams.
Yeah. And now give me that whiskey soda, damn it. They were the bartender. And that. All right, well, let's talk, not that bartender, you know what, okay, anyway. Bartenders are great, all right.
Now you're doing great. Just take a breath and keep going.
I'm freaking out. So the ocean, right? It's an enormously large and wet.
Super big.
Super big.
Super wet.
Now, what role does the ocean have in climate change? Please say small.
Well, I think we should actually be really grateful that it has a huge role because the ocean has already absorbed about 90% of the excess heat we've created by burning fossil fuels and about 40 to 50% of the CO2. So thank goodness it's buffering all the bullshit that we're throwing at it.
Yeah, and it'll pretty much go on like that forever?
No, we're like kind of maxed out at like how much the ocean can take.
Oh, bummer.
We've got like the thermohaline circulation maybe slowing down. We've changed the pH of the entire ocean acidification. Poor creatures that are trying to make shells are having a hard time because we're turning the ocean to Coca-Cola. So I think we should just, stop with the asking the ocean to do all our dirty work for us.
Yeah, it's really laundering all of our pollution, isn't it? In a way that it will soon burn down as a laundromat. Look, I'm just saying that because the laundromat 2 blocks away from my apartment burned down a couple nights ago. That's real. Anyway, Sandy is a displaced hermit-crab. He used to live in the ocean. Now he lives at the Hoyt Schumerhorn stop.
Is Sandy named after Hurricane Sandy or Beach Sand Sandy?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I didn't name myself, but I was named after sand, like Sandy Beach. I think being named after a hurricane would be a kind of cruel joke, in my opinion. No offense.
So, my favorite fact about sand, I don't know if this is also your favorite fact about sand.
I bet it is.
Is that on many beaches, the majority of sand is actually parrotfish poop.
That's my favorite fact about sand.
Yeah, me too. I was going to say
They
it,
eat
but
coral,
then,
they shit sand, and thank a parrotfish next time you're just chilling on the beach.
You know what? Let's all thank a parrotfish right now silently. Go. Okay, nice. All right, well, let's talk some land and sea solutions to climate change. Are there any? What are they? That's kind of the only 2 questions.
The really good news about all of this is we actually have all the solutions we need.
Yes!
We just need the political will and the wherewithal as humans to get our act together and make
No! We don't have that.
Yeah, that's the hard part. So as far as what the ocean can do for us, it's really similar to what the land can do, which is a lot of photosynthesis. So the most abundant photosynthesizing organism on the planet is called Prochlorococcus.
Whoa! That's my Tinder
It's
name.
a phytoplankton. It's a super sexy phytoplankton. It produces like about a third of the oxygen we breathe. So we just need to like let the ocean do its thing, right? So just lay off. And some of the bigger plants we can actually replant. So there's a huge effort right now that's just starting to ramp up to grow more plants in the ocean, to plant rafts of kelp, to do seaweed farming as a way to feed us with a super low carbon footprint, as well as start to absorb the CO2 that's already in the ocean.
And are these programs that are currently happening right now, or how do we get those?
Yeah,
going?
it's called regenerative ocean farming. And the idea is you grow seaweed on these like ropes between buoys, and you grow mussels hanging down on other ropes, and you have clams and scallops and oysters kind of in between, and you can grow an insane amount of food in a really small area because you have the third dimension, which is depth.
Dang. Sandy, were you getting all hot and bothered when she talked about all those clams hanging from ropes?
Yeah, ooh, yeah, yeah. Oh, here I go.
Can you see this board of the?
I'm moving is the
Yeah,
point.
he's really moving.
You got my legs going.
All right. Well, we talked about the Green New Deal a little bit here. What is the role? What does the ocean play a role?
So the ocean gets like one tiny mention in the current resolution, but I would love to see that expand when it becomes an actual detailed legislative proposal, and that is that coastal ecosystems like wetlands and mangroves and marshes can actually absorb about 5 times more carbon than the same area of rainforest. So we're really we're really selling short coastal ecosystems. They can protect us from storms, they absorb all this carbon, they're hugely important for biodiversity. So we need to not just protect, but also do some replanting. So like Arbor Day for the ocean.
Arbor Day for the ocean.
I could get into that.
Okay, everyone's for that.
Yeah. What would we
Plant
call
a
it?
seaweed.
Harbor Day.
Wow.
Thank you. You can thank my 40 million children for that.
Now that is a joke. Now that is a joke.
That's just a well-remembered word.
Hey, what is a joke, buddy? Well,
So if we had these ecosystems here in New York when Hurricane Sandy hit, it wouldn't have been nearly as devastating.
So these are able to buffer the effects of rising tides as well as reabsorb carbon dioxide.
Yeah, there's like a wave attenuation thing that happens. There's like a slowing down, a dispersion of energy as things come to shore and hit all this friction in coastal ecosystems.
And the more vegetation that's there, the better, basically.
Yeah, always.
Always. And it's my understanding that a ton of people live on the coast. Is that right? Something like
About
a lot.
40% of Americans live in coastal counties.
Oh, that's so many
And
of a
most of-
percent.
Most of us live in cities.
Such a high percent.
Is a pretty big number.
And so if we just focused some effort on these city coastal regions.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the times when we think of ocean conservation, we think coral reefs, we think dolphins and whales, maybe the Arctic, remote tropical islands, but really I think the next wave of ocean conservation has to be urban. We need to figure out what we're doing in cities.
Rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is good. I thought I was getting a flashlight back there. All right, you were talking, you weren't talking, I was internet stalking you. I invented the internet, all right? It is my right to internet stalk anyone I want. It's all on the internet. I even know all the back channel internets, too. Yeah, your Ask Jeeves, your GeoCities, all the secret sites that no one knows about.
Those
Did you
are
know
sites
that if
I've
you
never
Google
heard of.
Ayana, you get a resort in Bali, a porn star in Atlanta, and a porn star in Japan?
You know, I not only
Also
Google
a
it.
marine biologist.
Yes. I actually did my due diligence and I went and visited all 4 of those. Yes, I did know that. Now let me ask you something. In my internet searching, I noticed you had a system of triage. What is this triage? What are we talking about?
It's the sort of formalization of the depressing realization that we don't have enough time to save everything. And we don't have enough people working on solutions to save everything. So we have to have some sense of priorities. If you think about like the budget of a federal agency like the National Park Service, which is woefully underfunded, or like the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration or the EPA, they don't actually have enough money to fully execute their missions. And so instead of making these decisions like, this is the thing that's about to die, we need to save this first, this is okay, we'll just kind of we'll just monitor that, and like this is sort of like next up. Instead of having a system for deciding where to devote your dollars and time, there's just sort of like an ad hoc pet project kind of thing happening, which means that we're making decisions by not making decisions, which is not the best approach to decision making.
Yeah, true. Man, you're getting a freaking round of applause at every sentence that you say.
It's like the sad applause. It's like, we can't save the Florida Keys. Oh well, like let's put those resources somewhere else. Those reefs are too fucked.
Might as well get rid of the Florida locks too.
I'm gonna push this tag over.
Won't lock be able to go in.
Holy shit! Yeah, let's all backtrack to lock and. Okay, I'm not even gonna do it. You know what? We actually have to get to one more segment that you're in also. So why don't you tell these people they are all wanting to know what can they do? What sacrifice? What move can they make that can in some way help?
There's a very long list.
Oh, great. I love lists. Project
Drawdown is a good place to go. Drawdown.org. It has the 100 climate solutions already ready to go to ramp up on a personal and policy level. But as an individual, we've got a lot of sort of things at our disposal. We have our vote, obviously. Use that wisely. We have our voice and our influence, our sphere of influence. We have our dollar, thinking about like where we spend our money. And so within those, I think a lot about my personal carbon footprint, how many times I get on an airplane, what kind of transit I use, but also what I eat. I think that's an unsung climate solution, is figuring out how to eat local, how to support regenerative agriculture and silvopasture and eat more plants. And waste less. Food waste is actually one of the largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions. So cut that out, just like buy what you're gonna eat. Maybe don't make a whole bunch of new humans. They take up a lot of resources. And eat more oysters is the good part. And plant some goddamn
oysters. F*** oysters.
All right, you know what? We gotta move on to our final act. Everybody, first of all, give Dr. Ayana a huge round of applause.